And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host Vic, aka MrNeverChillin, and this is episode number 39. And of course, I'm joined by none other than my co-host Lunatic Oblivion.
Hey guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. Vic, so I know you want to really get into this because we just played it today and we had 4 hours of just the same thing. So, our co-op stream. What are your thoughts right now on Dying Light 2? Because I know I really want to get into this a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I'm already laughing, man, because I feel like that was the entire experience of playing today was just laughing at all the bugs and all the just the fuck ups that were in the game, like the disconnect in the story, the black cuts, the cutting in and out of the game is just takes the immersion out of the game all the time. Like when we were doing that chase scene and did a cut every time it went through a different door, and I'm like.
Yeah.
It takes away
Oh,
that like
yeah.
emergency, like, oh shit, I need to get out of here, like it takes that whole feeling away from you.
I think I agree. It became a meme for a little bit there where we were talking where you're like, "Oh, another black screen. Oh, another black screen." But at some point I was like, "No, you're right. Why are we getting this? Like that chase scene was horrible." Because and we also had the fact that she kept disappearing and she'd like reappear and I was like, "Well, I'd love some teleportation, especially in a chase scene." Because this is just horrible. You have like 12 doors during this chase scene, and every time you hit a door, she walks through it, slams the door closed behind her, and you're just like, click, open the door,
Black screen.
and then walk through. But not only that, it's you have to wait till you get to that door and it closes, and then it registers as a usable door. So it's like it became unplayable. It took the immersion away. I really didn't feel like I was playing something from 2022. I felt like I was playing something from the early 2000s. Like, it felt like they just didn't have the ability to keep everything loaded on screen. And it's like, why not? Like,
Right.
there's so little going on this game. Cyberpunk had more loaded at a time and still ran better than this.
Right. Cyberpunk actually blows this game out of the water in every aspect, I think, which is crazy to say because we all know how fucked up Cyberpunk was. And I think even
Yeah, exactly.
Cyberpunk at its release was better than what we have now with Dying Light 2. And I really hate to say that because Cyberpunk 2077 was really really rough. And it's just like I'm just trying to get through this game and it sucks. And I think I said it in the stream. I was just like this open world game feels like a last generation open world game where like yeah, the
Yeah.
world is kind of big, but like it still has those very limited features where there's a lot of cuts because it has to load a new part of the game where it can't have that running. And I'm just like, bro, like we're playing this on PC. My PC can run that without any problem. I bet you if I go play it on the Series X, it would run that without a problem if there weren't all these cuts. So it's just like, is this really just a last gen game that they just ported over to next gen? Like I don't see that this is a next gen game. And I
Yeah.
think they focus on too much of that artificial content that you like to say all the time because like 500 hours of content, and I see the 5 hours of content, but it's a lot of meaningless content that just bloats it, and then it makes the game on like not playable. Where that they need those cuts, they need to reload this, they need to do that because there's so much content, unnecessary content. You get rid of all that shit and make a nice, pristine, clean game. It's gonna run smooth with no issues, and it actually might be thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like I don't want to let's instead of just straight knocking the game, let's at least talk a little bit about what's good about it too though.
Hmm.
So like I want to say conceptually, this game is a good idea. It's something that's new and unique, right? It's meant to be a parkour zombie game. Like instead of your normal zombie games where you're like zombies are coming from everywhere and you got to shoot your way through the mess. This game is a you got to melee zombies. There isn't really a range, and even then, we'll give you a bow and arrow. It's kind of medieval. 20 years have passed since zombies have been a thing. Like so it conceptually is very interesting. It's the post-apocalyptic when we're trying to rebuild society. And like it has story choices. Like that was something to me that I thought was really great because I don't remember that in the first game. I don't remember impactful story choices. Like I feel as though every choice I make in this game, I can feel that impact on that mission and every mission to come after it. I feel like I'm going to feel that impact. Like the fact that Barney,
Hmm.
yeah, Barney tried to kill me. Barney's trying to kill me right away. That felt, like it felt good that I was like, Barney's trying to take it out on me because I instantly made that decision to stand up for the peacekeepers. But then at the same time, I'm killing people on Barney's team. Like I killed his sister's bodyguard, like that big ass
Hmm. Yeah.
that oaf. And like the fact that they're just like, okay, I'm not going to shoot you in the face with the crossbow. You shot like my bodyguard, one of my friends, hopefully. I don't care. Whatever. You can live. You're useful. And it's like, how is that
Yeah. It
like,
just
ha-
it just seems very
go ahead.
disconnect. Like I said, it's just like the connection between everything that you're doing in the game to relative to everything else has no connection. Where like you're saying, you're killing the one team's people, and then like you can go shop at their shops, like and like you're choosing, like you basically get to choose which faction that you want to join with, more or less, and you're siding with we're siding with the peacekeepers most of the time. So it's just like as that goes up, and we're getting more and more benefits from that. The other one's not going down. It's kind of just staying like neutral. No matter what the hell happens, we're always neutral and we're always allowed to be cool with them at some point. It's just like individual characters like, oh, you killed so and so, I'm going to kill you. But it's just like, why aren't the rest of the guys like that? That's what I
Yeah,
don't get.
no, I'm
Where's the
with you.
connection with that?
No, and it's honestly it's crazy to me. So, and I think I want to also mention like the storytelling in the game. Like it always feels like the storytelling is bad. Like the fact that I get to make choices during this bad storytelling feels good. Like the choice
Hmm.
is great, but the storytelling after you click a choice and during the choice and everything before, just the story is bad. Like I felt myself in there. I knew at some point I was like, when did I get here? Hakan stole our GRE key or whatever. And
Yeah.
then after he stole the key and left us to die, and then that lady saved our life randomly. Like just a random lady shows up in the tunnel, saves our life, and then after she saves our life, she turns into a zombie, and it's like, I feel bad, like she's dead. And Hakan's just like, "Hey bud, how you doing?" And it's like, "What?
Yeah, like how did
What?"
and yeah, I did not understand. I was just like, wait a minute.
And
I was like, did we go back in time or because that didn't
yeah,
that seemed very disconnect there. It's like they cut out a piece of the game.
like
Like they're missing a
it
part of the
feels
game
like
there.
whatever your choices were, because like you didn't get a choice. I didn't want to hand him the GRE key, but all it said was hand him the key. And it's like, no, I'd rather just have him fight to save me here. But like there was so much wrong with that and the build up to it. And then Hakan's like gets shot in the chest and he's like, I'm working for the bad guy you hate. And you're like, okay, so now you've stolen my key. You work for the bad guy. You want me to save your life?
No,
I
definitely not.
hope you die. And you know what? He's probably going to come back. He's probably going to reoccur.
Right. I mean, honestly, everything that you've called out that sounds pretty much outlandish at this point has came true. Like the whole coming, like becoming that super
Oh, yeah.
zombie Superman. Basically, I was just
Yeah.
like, that just seemed it seemed out of place. Like the entire
I
game didn't
literally was
showcase
just
none
like,
of this, and we all of a sudden get it triggered. And I'm just like,
yeah.
just because he got it,
And
don't mean I got to get it right away.
yeah, no, and I'm exactly feeling exactly what you're talking about here. I was like, this is how they're going to do it. This is bad game design. Let's watch a AAA game do AAA bad game design. And I think that's the thing we're dealing with here. Whether it's Activision Blizzard or Dying Light 2, storytelling has seemed to take a nosedive lately. Whether or not you get to make choices, you get to feel a part of the story, there is no good story. Like, yes, there's no original story anymore. Everything's been done once. But it's the journey you take me on to get to that story that's already been done. And this one just ripped off the worst Resident Evil game. So like, I don't know. I'm why is the zombie guy they're making, turns out the zombie virus was actually meant to make super soldiers and this guy perfected it on kids and turns out, oh, we were his test dummies and we're also super zombie man.
Yeah, I just don't get it. Like
So
the story just seems very convoluted and just out there, and it's just like they try to stretch out too much. And like even to circle back to like the mechanics of the game, like you can unlock either parkour abilities or like fighting abilities. And like the parkour one, like you have your grip, and then like being able to grab ledges and then like being able to jump ledges or whatever. I'm just like, Assassin's Creed already has that built into the game. Like, why do I have to unlock it now? Like I
My dude, like your dude's a barely even started out, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it turns out I'm fucking amazing at parkour." And like in this game, you're like, "Oh no, I can't even hold a ledge." And like you try to jump on something, and your character's like, "Oh, actually, nope," slips right off, and you're like, "Guess I'm dead." And
yeah.
I'm even holding the roll button, and my character's like, "Nah, my leg breaks." And it's like, dude, you're supposed to roll. And the times you try to roll, you like roll and the character rolls in place, or like the one time I rolled that way after falling that way, and it's like,
Yeah, there's a lot.
how?
There's been
How can
a lot of bugs in the game. Whether like when we notice like those cockroaches floating, like that was just horrible. Like the textures are bad, and it's just like trying to catch on to things like ropes or zip lines or whatever feel clunky. Like it's like you jump towards it, and I guess it didn't register the button hit, so you're falling to your death, and I'm just like, well, I died. Can you come revive me? And then like trying to get to your teammate to revive him on the ground floor is like I'm already way
yeah.
up here now. I gotta find my way back down without dying myself. So it's just like, man, there's just too many issues. And then like the game itself is clearly built out to be a single player game with a co-op aspect to it because like we are the same character, but we're playing co-op. So it's kind of weird.
And
Like
and
that's
you
an
don't even
outdated
get to
feature.
keep the progress.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
you don't even get to keep your own progress. Like Borderlands, at least, we could play the same fucking character. We could play through the story together, both playing who we are, and if you disconnect, you still are on the same story mission with all the same stuff completed. Now you got your own single player game from stage one where all the inject all the stuff you've captured, all the stuff you've done, not done.
Yeah. So
So now you have
it's
to
really
start
weird.
over.
Right.
So if whoever's hosting your save file is gone, that's it. You have to start over again.
Yeah, I don't. I hope that they can add a fix to that because I don't feel like that even makes sense. Like I feel like that's such a like a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3 era kind of feature like that was missing at that
Hmm.
time. So it's like here we are in 2022 and we're still missing that kind of feature. I'm just like, bro, like what did y'all spend money on? Y'all were that worried about 500 hours worth of content instead of just making a game that works and makes sense? Like what happened there? I hope Techland like don't get me wrong, like the game is sold tremendously for some reason and it's building up off of the hype of the first game, so I get the hype, but it's just like they got to realize that this game was not a success. This was not a great game, and they need to get back to the drawing board if they
But
want to make a.
shareholders won't care, and that's at the end of the day, shareholders win.
Yeah, and that's
So
I mean that's everywhere honestly. And I hope if they're going to make a Dying Light 3 or a new IP, like they get back to the drawing board, like all right, cool, where did we fuck up at? And I hope they start with, hey guys, we don't need 500 hours worth of content to make a good game. I think that would be the solution.
yeah, I just want a game that I can play through and enjoy. So, without further ado, let's move on here to the actual bulk of our show. Topic one here we've got is game releases this week. So, Vic, is there any games in here this week you're really excited for?
Probably not. Honestly, I mean, Chocobo GP might be the only one out of this list here, but we can run through these. First off, we got RPG Time Legend of Right. It's coming to the Series X and S, Xbox One, PC, and mobile. Um, it's a role-playing game of some sorts. It looks like it's like a hand-drawn kind of game. So it's probably like indie developed, being made by Deskworks Incorporated. So I've never heard of this game, but hey, it's coming out on the 9th. Then we got Ashwalkers, which is coming to the Switch and the PC. This one has like a cool sci-fi, like survival kind of feel to it. It is an adventure game being made by Nameless. What is that? 13. Never heard of them either. This one's coming to on March 10th. It's already been out on the PC for a while, so you can check that out. Aztec Forgotten Gods is coming to the PS5, Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on March 10th. This is an action game made by Lienzo. Nothing much really going on there. Chocobo GP, which is just basically a continuation of like the older games from the series back in the day. I actually forgot that this game was even a thing. And this coming out on March 10th from Square Enix, so hopefully this game does good because their last game, Babylon's Fall, has not been doing really well. Submerged Hidden Depths coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Stadia, and PC on March 10th. This being made by Uppercut Games is another adventure game. Looks like indie developed. workshop simulator. You know, everybody has to have a simulator game of some sort. So if you
I
like
mean,
that kind of stuff,
I'm waiting for Simulator.
that's going to break the simulator that we're in. Then we got Young Souls. This is a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, and PC. It says 1 to 2 player action game made by 1P 2P. This looks like a very simple arcade kind of game. Then we got WWE 2K22. I know some people will probably be excited for this that are into wrestling and stuff, so that's coming out to all the new consoles on March 11th. But do any of these games stick out to you at all that would make you want to play?
Honestly, these are none of these games really interest me. Even Chocobo GP is not something I'd really play. Like I'd rather just wait for the Mario Kart tracks to release.
Right.
The last racing game that I played, on like a Nintendo product that wasn't gonna be Mario Kart was probably Sonic Racers, and that was years ago.
Right.
Like 2010 time, really old Sonic Racing. So I honestly, this is a light week in gaming. So with Elden Ring coming out a week ago now, and Triangle Strategy is a game last week that I picked up on Friday, it gives us a little bit of a lull to get caught up on those games that you've been trying to beat for so long. So without any further ado, the industry news. So Elden Ring, From Software, the publisher, has raised all of their employees' salaries by 50,000 yen because of the success of the game. That's about $435 to their paycheck a month.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man. There's actually a lot of good news in our podcast, our episode this week in regards to Japan, and that's incredible, man. This just goes to show the success of the game, but then saying, "Hey, thank you for helping us make this great game. We appreciate you all." Basically, doing everything that Activision doesn't do, more or less. You know what I mean? Like, this is just a way of just saying, "Here's a stab at them," without saying this is a stab. Like, they're just showing that they care and they appreciate their employees, and this is
Yeah,
awesome, man. I
no,
love seeing news
I
like this.
I kind of agree. I think it's awesome. And I want to, kind of throw some more shade here. And let's look at Activision, for example. What Activision did not last year, but the last 3 years, they have failed to hire the mandatory required number of female board members. And they blame it due to the Microsoft deal complications. They were unable to hire somebody. Now they've been in this acquisition for only a few months, and they're blaming the past 3 years of being unable to hire a female member of their board because they're being acquired. So it just goes to show that Activision Blizzard is not a good corporate culture, and they don't care about their employees. They're the people buying their game, the people playing their game. They don't care about their staffing. It just goes to show kind of where we are in the West versus the East. You
Right.
know, when the Wii U failed, for example, Nintendo CEO, he cut his salary in half because the Wii U wasn't selling well, so that he didn't have to fire employees.
Right. Yeah.
And in the US, they get bailed out, and then we fire employees and then renovate CEO offices. So it really just doesn't go to surprise me at all when we talk about like the East versus West companies.
Right. Yeah. I think this is awful. Like, Activision is just, they're so far gone, dude. Like, when they're really blaming this deal with Microsoft for the reason why they weren't able to hire a third female on their board that they've known about for 3 years. Like, this deal was
Yeah.
not going on for 3 years. Like, you could have did this 2 years ago or 1 year ago, and you would have been fucking fine. But you want to go scapegoat? It was Microsoft's fault. Like, you're trying to already fuck up their name with your
Yeah.
name at the same time, and we're just like, no one's buying that. No one's like, definitely not. Like, this just
Oh
goes to
yeah,
show.
good. Yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. Your deal clearly blocked this. No, what blocked it is the fact that there's sexual harassment culture, and we've got a company that just doesn't care about human rights or human lives.
Yeah, so hopefully once this deal does go through, because I'm sure at this point, 100% this got to go through. There's no reason that's pointing to why it would. So I mean, Microsoft, I think they're going to make change, and they're going to make a very impactful change, especially with Phil Spencer at the helm of Microsoft Gaming. I mean, heck, he just won basically like the good person award in all of gaming over at the Dice Awards, and that's a really big prestigious award, and I can see him making a really big important impact when they actually do acquire them.
No, I agree. And I want to talk about impact and, people trying to make a difference here. Visiting the idea or the Russia versus Ukraine dispute that's currently going on, the war, the active war. Many companies have been sort of taking a stand at this point against Russia. So EA is removing Russian teams from this year's FIFA and
NHL.
NHL releases. GSC Gaming World delays Stalker 2 to help keep their employees safe
Yeah,
from violence.
right,
And
because they're over in Ukraine.
yep, Microsoft is suspending all sales in Russia on the Microsoft Store, the Game Store, Xbox, everything. And then SadCat, a developer of Replaced, has issued a statement saying they are against the invasion and even being a Belarusian developer. Belarus being a Russian ally, a key Russian ally.
Right, and I think this is really important to keep notices like basically the world is cutting Russia off from anything and everything, and this is really big. I mean, I was actually really surprised that EA took the stance of saying, "Hey, we're going to remove the teams," because EA is also one of those companies like Activision that doesn't really like do right
Yeah,
change or do the right thing, and they did the right thing
they don't
here.
care. They're about money, and they're like, we're gonna remove a moneymaker from our game potentially.
Right, you just cut off. I don't know how big the gaming community is from Russia to the economy wise and stuff like that, the player count. But regardless, like that's going to be a huge thing. Like anybody who plays these games in Russia are no longer going to be able to play with their teams, and they're going to be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
damn, that sucks." But it's sad to hear though about GSC Game World and also SadCat both being basically in the middle of this war itself. Is like these are two big games that are coming out and primarily coming to the Xbox console, both Replaced and Stalker 2, and I'm just like, man, like people don't realize the impact that stuff like this is going to have. Like, look at gas prices and all the other stuff that we're having impact on, and then you feel bad for the developers.
Yeah.
You think about the developers with Activision and Blizzard and the shit they got to go through.
These are
That
their homes.
right,
These are their livelihoods being uprooted. So like it's quite surprising the impact we're going to feel for years to come. And that's not without even accounting for the fact that this could result in a world war.
yeah, yeah, that's definitely going to be something to follow, and I hope more companies follow this. I do know there was breaking news right before we started that Netflix has suspended their services from Russia as well. So no more Netflix over there unless you have a VPN, of course. That would be the only
Yeah.
workaround that they would have.
And talking about Netflix here, Netflix actually made a huge acquisition this week, $72.3 million deal. They've acquired a studio called Next Games. Next Games is a mobile developer, sticking in the line with what we're doing what Netflix is doing is buying a bunch of mobile developers or developing for mobile for the Netflix gaming. They've made Stranger Things, Puzzle Tales, as well as a Walking Dead game, and a third one, which eludes me at the moment.
Yeah, they made two different Walking Dead games. They make The Walking Dead Our World
Ah,
and The Walking Dead No Man's Land. And then, like you said, the
both
Stranger Things.
mobile games.
Yeah, both mobile
Yeah,
games. I actually played both of them because I'm a Walking Dead fan, and they're both really good games. Like especially for being mobile, like the simplicity, like the whole concept of the game. They were a lot of fun to do. I'm just not big into mobile gaming. That's just not me. But they're just adding to their catalog, man. Like they're starting to pick up a lot of those smaller indie mobile game studios, and I think Netflix is understanding the market. Like they clearly understand the market. Like a lot of gamers play mobile games. Why not go after the
yeah.
biggest market? So like from a business standpoint, this makes sense. But once they start picking up like big time developers, I'm curious to see how that ends up playing out.
No, definitely. I think the East is a big mobile market for the loot box economy.
Hmm.
With China kind of suspending outside development and outside gaming, I'm wondering how big mobile gaming will be in the world because a lot of the numbers are very much influenced by Chinese markets and Eastern markets. So I'm curious to see over the next year or two where we sit mobile versus console and PC. But talking about developers here, Epic Games actually acquires a new software. They bought the producers of Bandcamp. So I think this is an interesting move for Epic Games because if for many of you who may not know, Unreal Engine is actually developed and made by Epic Games. So now we're looking at the ability to both produce music, like professional quality music, as well as professional quality games all from one developer. Potentially we're looking at Epic Games like Adobe has the Creative Cloud.
Hmm.
Maybe we're going to see something like the Epic Games Game Creation Suite. It's going to have maybe a sound engine and, through Bandcamp and then Unreal Engine for your gaming. So I think this is an interesting move by Epic Games. What about you, Vic?
Yeah, I think this is really big because Bandcamp is actually the biggest indie music platform, and with the rise of like more and more people trying to be more and more creative, like this is just another platform. But being owned by Epic Games, like Epic Games likes to engage with the community. They like to bring like communities creations into their games and stuff like that. Like Fortnite is a great example because they create skins based off of influencers or the community members and skins and stuff like that. So I can already see what they can add to do. Like they can go, oh, this is the top hit on Bandcamp. Let's add it to Fortnite because they got tracks just like Call of Duty did. Like when you're driving around and
Hmm.
stuff. Like there are endless possibilities what they can do with their games already. But like you said, having Unreal Engine 5 with this, like that's gonna make a lot of like indie developed games as well have access to music because like we both know like the use of music right now is very strict. And but if they own this and they pair it up and say, hey, if you make the game with Unreal Engine 5, you are allowed to use any song that's part of Bandcamp as well. And then boom, now you have two and two, and you can make a lot of
The
great content.
licensing fees, and then those people who have made those songs on Bandcamp can get royalties from games and stuff.
Hmm.
So it seems like an interesting way to go from here because we have a lot of you can make your games. We've got Fortnite, we've got a huge catalog. So now not only can you buy games off the Epic Game Store, but maybe you can also shop music or
Hmm.
listen to music through the Unreal. What if they're making the Unreal Engine or the Epic Games launcher into something bigger, something better?
Right, and to throw a statistic out there in regards to Bandcamp, for those who may not know, like I think they have paid out $1 billion to artists that are on their platform, and in perspective, I think Spotify has paid out 5 billion. So to be 1/5 of theirs is actually a pretty big number in comparison because Bandcamp is an indie developed company paying out $1 billion to Spotify, which is a huge ass fucking platform, and they have only paid out 5 billion. So obviously they are either paying their artists more on Bandcamp or like Spotify's not paying enough.
Well, that's a whole nother discussion that we don't even have time for.
Right.
Um, but talking about here, paying out the ass for stuff. Microsoft finalized an acquisition of a company this week for AI development, Nuance. Nuance was purchased this week for $16 billion. That's a B. What is Microsoft doing here? Where are they going with this? Is this for their gaming development or is this for their computers? Because maybe we're going to see the next iteration of Cortana with more AI.
Hmm. Yeah, I would love to see how this plays out because apparently, like, Nuance is actually like ahead of the game. Basically, the idea is Microsoft wants to try and leapfrog both Google and Amazon with their AI program because we know, like, Cortana and Microsoft, it's okay. It
It's the redheaded stepchild of artificial intelligence or like an assistant.
Right, like it's not bad. Like Cortana's not bad. After time, I think it's better than Siri, dealing with Siri all the time. So like having this, but like they put like a lot of research and a lot of efforts into their program, and it's been like an up and coming program. It hasn't even been like really released. It's not really on any platform yet, but Microsoft has number of platforms to put this on, from their PCs to their consoles as well. And then if they can build this into like their Game Pass app or whatever, like to be able to navigate these programs with the speech and stuff like that, that's going to be great for accessibility purposes as well. But like my thinking behind this is how can they use this in games too? Because we all know like there's AI in games. How does the AI react in the situation that I get into? And we all know that we've seen games where like Cyberpunk, for instance, when Cyberpunk first came out, and I start shooting or stealing a car, like the AI would never react, and there was nothing going
Yeah.
on. But then like the new update 1.5, if I shoot a gun in the air, the crowd's going to disperse, the cars are going to drive crazy. Like that's the difference between an AI that was not put work, like no work put into an AI, to someone that actually has a good AI now. So like that's going to have a big impact, I think, on in games and across the board because Microsoft
Well,
owns how many game companies.
and even that, like talking about it, that's just simplistic AI, and that's crazy.
Right.
Like, it's they we're looking at the future where Microsoft, a game developer may even make their AI software available to their developers.
Hmm.
So, if this is, usable for game logic and such, this could be leaps and bounds for Microsoft. This could put them, we're already looking at a monopoly, but we might be looking at a bigger one soon.
Right. And another thing I actually just thought of is like how can they incorporate this into their HoloLens? I know HoloLens is their AR VR headset that we know is like super expensive. It's a business class one, but like what implications that they can get with an AI that's really good. Like what I can think of now is like Tony Stark, his setup with his computers and having that really smart AI just with him and being able to help him out with all those problems. Like that is the future of AI. Is someone that's like basically another personality that you can have a normal fluid conversation with and be able to get through your work and just help you progress or play a game, watch a movie, whatever it is. Like it's going to be pretty cool to see the future.
Yeah, last time I asked my phone to call my wife, it started trying to call a business called Jordan something. So it's the difference between knowing what I'm trying to call based on who I am as opposed to calling something that's called something. So I'm interested to see where Microsoft goes with this, but I don't think we're going to see anything out of it anytime soon. This is something that may take 5 years, 10 years till it actually
Right.
becomes real,
And
like real.
and to put this deal into perspective, this is the biggest official deal from Microsoft. Like it's bigger than Skype's buyout, Nokia's buyout. It's bigger than every potential buyout that there was. Obviously, other than the Activision and Blizzard deal, because we already know that that's off the charts. But this is their biggest one. It's even bigger than the Bethesda acquisition by what six
Yeah.
six billion. So actually, no, eight. I think it was roughly closer to 8 billion for that one.
So yeah, and Microsoft's making big changes all the time, and I think we should talk about here during our gaming news segment their biggest thing, Game Pass. Game Pass is huge, right? So let's look at this month's Game Pass releases and changes. So Game Pass has made 7 major changes this week. We're looking at Far Changing Tides is leaving the store.
No.
Microsoft
It's
Flight
coming.
Simulator.
It's coming to
Oh,
the
coming.
store.
Sorry.
Yeah, the ones that say
It
out
came.
are.
It's already out.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, my apologies. It came out Far Changing Tides. We're going to see Microsoft Flight Simulator hitting its cloud version. That comes out or is already out.
Hmm.
Lightning Returns, which is Final Fantasy's third installment of the 13th game. That's already out. We're looking at Kentucky Route Zero, which comes out March 10th. Lawn Mowing Simulator, because we've got to have more simulator games. That comes out March 10th. Marvel's GOTG, that comes out on March 10th, and Young Souls comes out March 10th. Is there any game that interests you here, Vic, in the Game Pass changes? Since we're always seeing Game Pass changing.
I think a big one here, I mean, obviously, is Guardians of the Galaxy coming to Game Pass, because obviously we know the success from Guardians of the Galaxy. All the awards it was winning at, all the different shows and stuff like that. Now is the perfect time to play this game if you never played it. For you, for
And it's
instance,
free.
and
It's free.
yeah, you have not played Guardians of the Galaxy yet, and now you have an opportunity to play it. Man, you do not want to miss out on this game. But another game I do want to touch on here was Far Changing Tides. I do know some people in our community actually have downloaded and actually have been enjoying this game. It's an indie developed game. It's like a post-apocalyptic world where you're solving puzzles and navigating the weather with your like ship, with the winds and changing the tides, obviously, and hence
The title.
the title and stuff like that. So I love the art style of that game, and then seeing Microsoft Flight Simulator come to cloud is like because like that game is using a lot of resources and it's a super high res. It's basically a replication of the world. Like it's really
Hmm.
fucking detailed, and to see this come to cloud is phenomenal because Microsoft is really pushing and taking cloud gaming to the next level by having a game like this on cloud. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to just keep pushing that, man. Like cloud gaming, like I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have a console here in the next couple of years because we don't need one. Everything's on the cloud. As long as you have the
Yeah.
internet and stuff like that. Like that's our biggest problem is the infrastructure, like the
Well,
internet having stable internet at all times.
yeah, and not to mention Guardians of the Galaxy. That was a very beautiful game, and it's also coming to cloud as well.
Yeah.
So, we're now starting to see these cloud gaming. The cloud gaming is really starting to take off for Microsoft as of this week. We're seeing almost every one of the games that I've said right now, except for Far Changing Sides, everything that I had just mentioned is jumping onto cloud. Now, on the other hand, we do have 4 games that are leaving the Game Pass updates, and that's Nier Automata, Fogs, Torchlight 3, and The Surge 2. All 4 are leaving Game Pass
March
sometime
15th.
this week, or it
Uh,
already has.
March 15th is when they're leaving.
Thank
So,
you.
and honestly, it's crazy. I actually didn't even know Nier Automata was on there, and I'm like, shit, because I wanted to maybe even pick that, like, check that out because I played through and beat Replicant. I don't know how good Automata is, but there's a lot of
Better.
noise around it. So, and the thing is, like, when games leave Game Pass, you don't like you can't forget like you get a 20% off discount while it's on Game Pass to buy it. So knowing that it's leaving on March 15th, I could go pick this up for 20% off and have it. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
so
No, it's
that's
an
pretty cool.
awesome.
I love the perks that you
No, it's an.
get with Game Pass, man. Like right now, you get UFC 4 new customization bundles that came out already. Halo Infinite, of course, you get some more cosmetic bundles that came out on comes out on March 9th, and then Century Age of Ashes. It's another bundle that's coming out on March 14th. So it's pretty cool to see like you get like specific cosmetic bundles with your Ultimate game subscription
Yeah,
as
and I
well.
think what's interesting is it's a competitor to the Amazon Twitch Prime.
Hmm.
We're offering you free games. Now you don't get to keep them. They're there as long as you pay the service, whereas Amazon gives you the games. But we're also now going to incentivize game in-game items, whether it be our game or somebody else's maybe.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. I mean you can't forget you still get games of gold, but we know how lackluster they have been for
Yeah.
a few months now.
But let's talk about what's also coming down the road. So Shredder is releasing day one on Game Pass. We're gonna see Pac-Man Museum Plus that comes in May 27th. And also cloud gaming. Right now only supports controller, but we're gonna see the cloud gaming get mouse and keyboard support here in the near future, which really helps to open up the PC gaming because as of right now, if you play cloud gaming, you can't use a mouse and keyboard.
Right.
Give it a little bit. We're gonna be able to play those games that are for computer, probably not always for console. Play a game built for the computer with mouse and keyboard like it's supposed to be, which I think is really interesting. That's coming down the road. Any thoughts on this, Vic?
Yeah, I think that's really big with the cloud gaming game mouse and keyboard support because like Microsoft is honestly all about like we don't care how you play, where you play, when you play. We just want you to play games, and we're giving you every possible way to play. You can play on the cloud, you can play on PC, you can play on console, and not only that, you're about to be able to play on keyboard and mouse or controller or that accessibility controller on all three of those. So like there's a way to play games no matter what. And I think that's awesome, man. Like we talk about it all the time. Like the inclusion and the accessibility of gaming is so important, and Microsoft just keeps making strides to make that better for everybody.
No, I agree. And let's talk about here how successful Microsoft is. Microsoft has now officially outsold the Xbox One with the Xbox Series X. So we're actually seeing the Eastern market rise. This is something that, has been coming for a long time. Um, I just went to a convention a little bit while ago, and I started to see some, saw a panel that was about an hour long, and it was gaming commercials throughout Japan, for the past 30, 40 years. And I kind of watched as the Western market slowly is penetrating that of the Eastern market. I saw Gears of War, I saw the Xbox, I saw a bunch of games, I saw these commercials, and the rise of Western civilization in gaming is starting to really stick in the East, and we can see this with the sales of the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I think this is really phenomenal to see, and you can just see the difference though, because like Xbox One was such a lackluster. Like it was like Microsoft almost folded the Xbox division with the Xbox One's not super great generation, but the resurgence of the Xbox brand with Phil Spencer at the head of it, and like their inclusion, like they're over in Japan all the time, man. Like they're hosting events, they're engaged with developers, like they're engaged with the community over there in Japan and obviously other markets. And speaking about that, like they just created or opened up Xbox Wire Japan, which is like their blog post, like their like news like their news source and stuff like that. Like I listen,
Their blog, yeah, they're running news article for everything Xbox,
right,
and now it's tailored for Japan.
and
You
that's
know,
awesome
we
because
they're acknowledging a market that they're starting to succeed in.
right, and they release a lot of videos too that end up on YouTube and stuff like that. Whether it's this week on Xbox or their Xbox podcast that they have with Major Nelson, and it's just like it's pretty cool now that people over in Japan will actually be able to enjoy this content. Like Xbox is becoming so big that now we have to start catering to Japanese folks that actually are engaged and really love the Xbox brand. And I think that's awesome, man. Like it's only going to get bigger, and I think once we can produce more like JRPGs or more games that cater to them as well, that's just going to put people more on board to hey, I want an Xbox. And with Game Pass the way it's going, with because they're adding a couple more Japanese titles that are big over in Japan to Game Pass, like that's going to entice a lot more people to say, hey, I want Game Pass.
Yeah, now's the time to get my games for free as opposed to having to keep paying for them.
Right. Because look,
Because,
I
like,
mean,
I really wish Dying Light. I wish Dying Light was on the freaking Game Pass. Were you about to say that?
yes, I sure was. I was like, look at us. We spent $60 on Dying Light 2, and we're just like, what the
Yeah,
fuck? This shit's awful. And like, of course we're going to play and beat it. We didn't just spend $60 for nothing.
yeah. I keep telling my wife, I'm like, I complain and I complain and I complain and I go, I spent $60 on it though, and I can't refund it, so I'm going to beat it,
Right.
just so that I can review bomb it at the end and say, horrible, don't buy this game.
I mean, hopefully, I mean, we'll get to the review when that time comes. But
Yeah,
I'm interested to see how that game finishes for sure. But staying along the lines of Microsoft, Halo Infinite Season 2 has been announced. It's coming out May 3rd, which sucks, honestly. I can't believe that they delayed it and pushed this out even further. And because like basically the hype has gone down from Halo Infinite, like the excitement from
what's Halo
Halo.
Infinite?
Yeah, they're where's the content at, bro? Still can't play co-op, can't do Forge. There's only a handful of maps. There's a handful of game
Yeah,
modes, like, and then the whole issues with the battle pass, like leveling up took forever, and then now it's too fast. Like they can't get enough content out, and it's just like you might as well have delayed this game until like May. Like it wouldn't have hurt to delay it a couple more months. Like you just you did good. You did good at launch. I get it. It was a great launch, but like you clearly weren't ready to release content with this. This is supposed to be your live service Halo game, your infinite Halo game that's going to go on forever, and you didn't
and
have content. You didn't have the game
yeah.
finished yet. Like co-op is going to be a big portion to that game. People are dying to play this game co-oply,
And not
cooperatively.
only that, it's Halo Infinite, so it's gonna be a game as a service, and I'm ready for the next story, the next chapter in the story, and I don't have it. I don't have any inkling or tickler for it because, like, how long do we have to wait for the next drip of content? Because nothing's changed. We've had one event and it showed up 3 times, and that was the only thing that happened for 3 months.
Yeah, and that's hard to keep people around when you got Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Warzone doing new shit all the
Oh,
time.
Warzone is better than Halo is right now with its new content.
Yeah, and we all know where that is. That shit's in the dumpster already on fire.
But Halo Infinite's just like, guess I'm jumping in the dumpster too. And let's talk about a game that isn't slowing down. Sea of Thieves. They're about to hit their 6th season. This is a game that, like, it was meant to be a service. You're going to play and it's going to slowly get better and better as we play. And that's what we've seen. We've seen a game that kind of started bare bones, but they didn't stop. And I think, yeah, it took a little bit to really get started. But even the playable version, it felt like had more content with your friends than Halo Infinite does on launch. And this is Halo, not just some random pirate game.
Exactly.
So,
And I know a bunch of people in our community actually got back into Sea of Thieves, and that's pretty awesome. And now they're about to have season 6, which starts just here in a couple of days on March 10th. And there's a lot of content. Like we already went over their roadmap a couple episodes back, and I'm excited for Sea of Thieves, whether I play it or
Yeah,
not.
I got everyone back into Sea of Thieves in our community actually, and I was playing it, and then they started playing when I wasn't around. So it was like, I'm glad to see people are interested to play again. But this is one of those games. It's just like, what happens if you actually care about your
Fucking
live
yeah, bro.
service and want to keep moving? Like, Nightmare Gore, I don't think he played Sea of Thieves till he played with us, and the man is a monster in the game. So I think we should talk about here some other games that have been going on for a long time. Looking at Capcom, we're going to get an enhanced version of Resident Evil 2, 3, and 7 coming this year. We just got you know, Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 remakes, didn't we? We just got them in the past 2 years, and now they're already giving us enhanced versions of the second and third game.
Yeah, I think this is pretty big. I mean, it's all about making the games compatible and run the best possible way on the new next gen consoles. So basically, they're just enhancing the remastered versions of Resident Evil 2, 3, and then making Biohazard a Series X and S PS5 enhanced game. What they've been doing with most games, and we all know that there's a big difference. Like changing the frame rates and giving it a higher res, whether it's an upscale 4K at 60 frames per second. Like 60 frames per second compared to 30 is like a night and day difference. Like people don't realize like that was one of the biggest leaps in gaming of all time, because seeing from 30 to 60 is actually noticeable by the eye, but from 60 to 120 isn't really noticeable until you actually slow it down, and then you can start seeing the missing frames when you're comparing the two, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, that makes sense. But like, yeah, it'd be nice to have a game running at 120, but I'd rather have a game run at 60 than 30 because that's massive.
yeah. And so I think this is an interesting development, especially since I believe we just heard about the Resident Evil 4. It's not a rumor at this point, I believe, for it, but Resident Evil 4 Remake is in development. We're going to get a horror focus on Resident Evil 4. It's not going to be just, our same thing we've been getting with 1, 2, and 3, which were kind of run and gun, quick speed runny Resident Evil games. Like the remakes were fun, but they were very fast paced. We're going to be looking at Resident Evil 4 being more traditionally like Biohazard number 7 and 6. So 7 and 8,
8,
sorry. Is it
yeah.
8 was the newest one?
Yep, 8. Yep.
Yeah. So 7 and 8, we're looking at Resident Evil trying to return to its roots, which I'm excited for. I'm going
Right.
to buy the Resident Evil 4 remake.
I mean, we already seen the success when they brought it to VR not too long ago. Like
Mhm.
that coming to VR, we were just like, whoa, like this is we didn't even know we needed this, because
Yeah.
it's
And
one of the
it's
best
something I
VR
slept
games.
on.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm
But
super excited for that to come out. I mean, I haven't played Resident Evil in a long time, so it'd be pretty cool to hop back in these games. Like I picked up like the remake of Zero or One, whatever the hell it's called, and I was just like, man, this looks bad. But I hope that they come out with like those ones enhanced, because like I like to play games in chronological order, and playing two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, and not playing one, I'm like, I feel like I missed out, you know. But
mhm.
I tried playing it. I'm just like, man, these games are missing a lot of features, like having to manually save and do all this other shit. I'm like, yeah, this game's like super old. I don't even want to play this game.
But and then there's something to be said about the way those games play though, that's why they have manual saves. Moving on here, though, Valorant. We've touched upon Valorant changes the past few weeks, and Valorant now hits patch 4.04. With patch 4.04, we see a few minor changes, I believe, to Icebox, or not minor changes. Icebox has been completely revamped, and we see a bunch of minor changes to a ton of champions. Astra was broken last week, should be fixed now this week. And we should also see the changes to Yarrow be fixed so that he actually is playable and competitive. What are your thoughts here, Vic? What do you think of the new Yarrow and Icebox changes? Have you seen them?
I haven't hopped into Valorant. I'm super excited to play tomorrow, actually.
Yep.
And I actually been wanting to play, but I was like, man, I just don't have time. Like I was busy over the past few days, and I'm like, man, I really want to play. But seeing the Icebox changes is actually big, especially for our team, because how bad we hate playing Icebox. Like we're just like, man, fuck Icebox, man. Let's just dodge or whatever. And it's just like, I think these changes actually might be beneficial. Like a lot of the changes
Like,
make it more sense. It makes each site more balanced. So like one site is more defensive heady. Now it's not. One was more attacker friendly. Now it's not. Like there's different situations that I no longer have to worry about because of the changes that were done, and I'm super excited for that one for sure. But in regards to the champion changes, Yarrow sounds like he's a playable character finally. Instead of being the worst champion to choose, he might be in the middle of the pack, if not up towards the top, with what he does now. Like everything he does, all the changes that it just makes sense. And then in regards to like a couple of the changes to like Omen and Brim, I like the Brim change with the additional 15% speed boost with his rapid fire, the stim beacon that he throws down. Like Dom loves using that, and now him
He
randomly
loved
throw it,
using it to give himself a speed boost that never actually worked.
and
He
now
would
it does.
throw it thinking it gave him a speed boost. Now it actually helps him. So, you know, when he wastes his stim beacon, it isn't a waste because he will move faster. No, I think it's awesome that Brim it's trying to make him more competitive because Brim for a while there is very underused. His competitiveness was not very good, but he did break this week's patch 4.04 was actually horrendous. If you saw some gameplay, Brim's change to the stim pack plus neon made her unkillable. She actually was so fast that people couldn't shoot because they moved their gun too quickly, and the bullet, because they were trying to trace her while she was moving, the gun inaccuracy from looking actually it pretty much broke it.
That's curious. I figured something like that would happen.
Yeah.
But I do like the other changes for Brim is making his like his smokes a little bit quicker and a little bit bigger too. So
hmm
like it makes him more usable, and puts him more on par with the other smokers. But I like the changes to Astra because Astra I feel like started to get an uptick play recently.
Astra is actually, if you watch competitive play, she's a must pick, was a must pick. It was because she was so strong. She there was no game where you could play without an Astra because she offered so much utility with the ability to just control the entire map. And not to mention this week after her changes in patch 4.04, she had to be locked and ranked within minutes because turns out she could place one of her abilities, call it back, and then sell it and buy a Marshall in the pistol round.
Oh, okay, so she broke the game.
Yeah. So, you know, when we're not letting her be the ultimate controller and run the map, we'll just give her a Marshall round one to make up for the difference.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm super excited to hop into Valorant though for tomorrow, man. Excited to see the changes, and I even might play as Yarrow and like maybe when we do some warm up for Spike Rush and stuff,
Mhm.
because I am looking for another character to play as, and with him being a frag or a you know,
He's an entry.
yeah. So
He's
he's
very much a better entry.
right. So I think I could actually use him in a way, but I know we also have other teammates that want to play as him as well. So it'll be nice to switch it up and have some more changes because like I haven't played Killjoy in a while, and because I haven't felt the use from Killjoy, I feel like isn't there anymore. Other than her ult, which I feel like no one has been using. Like we've been seeing a lot of Killjoys have their ult and not even use their ult, and I'm just like, that's weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I want to move on here a little bit, keep moving forward. Destiny 2. So, with the Steam Deck, our next two things are about the Steam Deck here. With the Steam Deck launching here in very short order, people are getting their emails, hey, your pre order's ready. You have 42 hours or whatever, 48 hours to buy the Steam Deck. Bungie has announced that if players try to bypass the fact that Steam's Deck is incompatible with Destiny 2. If they find you playing Destiny 2 on a Steam Deck, they will ban your account.
This blows my mind because like you're really just trying to limit someone who was
Somebody
creative
wants
and
to play
smart to
your
play your
crappy game.
right. Someone wants to
Somebody
play
wants
your
to play
game.
your garbage game.
Right. Especially with the new release of the expansion, what everyone's calling Destiny 3, because it's that big and that changing of the game, and it's just like they said that this is basically a sequel to the Taken King from Destiny 1. Is basically what
Yeah.
this is, because this is like the sister of the Taken King, and it's just like okay, but now you're getting mad at someone because they were really fucking smart and really did a workaround to play your game, but now you're gonna ban them because they're playing your game. It's not like they're doing anything like they're game breaking, like they're not hacking or cheating. Like I can understand if they're
If
doing
I
that. That's
own your
different.
game, I bought the license to play your game. I bought the ability to play it through Steam. So say I install Windows 10 on the Steam Deck and then I try to play it, you're going to ban me?
Right. I just it's
Who wants
mind
to
blowing.
play your, like, it's a game that is already dead why are we trying to kill it more? That's what's weird to me. So, and talking about the Steam Deck here, there turned out to be it seems like these new mobile consoles we keep getting have an issue where everyone loves that their stick is drifting. And the Steam Deck is no slouch. With the most recent release of the Steam Deck that people are looking at for testers and such, the stick is drifting, just like a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, that's pretty awful, but at least this one seems like it's going to be fixable with a patch, like for the software that's going to be able to fix this. I mean, I
Yeah.
hope that they can do that, and I hope that they don't have to like have these things shipped back to be repaired because like we all know the shortages of parts and whatnot. Even though I know that this is the controller part of it, but that's a pain to have to ship your console to get a
Oh
new one
yeah.
back.
Yeah, I've done it with the Switch and it takes like a week to get it back and it's just horrible. But like for the Steam Deck to have it be a firmware update to fix the stick drift, that's crazy to me that it's actually not like the physical part, but it's just we coded it wrong.
Right.
Sorry.
It's like the system is registering you moving the stick, but it's not registering it like going back to back
Hmm.
to center where it doesn't do any movements, and that's where I guess it's still being stuck at. So like I can see what the problem is. So I'm hoping that their fix is going to work.
Hmm. I agree. And so, without further ado, let's get to our final topic here of the evening. It is game rumors. So, we've already touched upon the fact that Resident Evil 4 remake is in development. It was a rumor, but now more or less seems like it is a solid, valid release coming out in the near future. We've got three big rumors coming up. Valorant. We have a new agent that's being teased. Somebody is blackmailing the agents of Valorant, and we're not 100% sure why. So we're hopefully going to see here a new agent where a bunch of calling cards have been left across all the maps, replacing some of the other previous pieces of lore. So are you excited for another agent already?
Yeah, honestly, I'm a fan of when I'm playing a game as much as I play a game, and it because Valorant's probably my most played game, like how I used to play Call of Duty back in the day.
Yeah.
And the problem with Call of Duty back in the day was the lack of content a lot, like the repetition of content, the timing of content, where there was just too many gaps. We would have to wait like 4 months for content back in the day. Where like now every person gets a new content update every week, and we're like, oh, we need more content. Like bro, like that's enough. So Valorant to release a new map or a new character like almost once a month at this point to me is big because it refreshes the game. It changes the meta. It allows you to have a new experience, and it never gets old. Like nothing ever gets old. And I love the minor updates like we talked about earlier with the changes to maps. Like you imagine if they did changes to maps in Call of Duty, that'd be fucking phenomenal. That we've been asking for shit like that in Call of Duty, but Valorant's like, hey, we'll change this, and this, and it looks like a completely
And
different map.
like and the thing is they change these maps without really being asked. They're just like we notice what's wrong with the competitive game. We want this to be an esports game. So they continue to evolve the game. I, on the other hand, though, I think maybe we're going to get to champion paralysis here where we have too many champions for the game.
Hmm.
Like I'm getting to the point where we're gonna need a almost like a League of Legends pick ban phase where we pick a map and then we ban champions and then you pick your characters because it's getting a little over the top where if I have 100 champions, more than half of them are gonna have under 5% pick rate.
Right, and I think having that ban feature would be nice because that would also because like right now if they had that feature, I don't think it makes sense. There's not enough characters for it. But when it gets to the point where there's a lot, it makes you pick out 2, 3 characters that you can be good at. Where like, oh shit, my player got banned. I gotta go play with this one. Like it mixes it up. It makes you think like, damn, I used to play Raze on this map. Now I gotta play as Killjoy on this map because Raze just got banned or whatever.
Or for example, like Astra was cancerous for professional play, for Radiant play. Astra was just controlling the game, and it made it into a game where precise gunplay wasn't as important as just having the right kit. Now you can ban these champions who are ruining the competitive game, like for low elo games. People who struggle to deal with the fact that like, oh, I shoot Reyna and she doesn't die because she goes intangible because she just killed somebody else. It gets to the point where we can start banning these champions who at your elo people are just not good enough to play against if you have a Smurf or somebody who's just genuinely good at that character. It
Right.
it makes the game a little more playable for people who have a hard time.
Yeah, exactly. Because I would love to ban Reyna in every match because that's my kryptonite in Valorant.
So, moving on here from Valorant, we've got PlayStation news. It seems as though there's a rumor that the Infamous series and Sly Cooper might be getting a reboot. Are you excited? Because I'm excited. I
Uh,
actually loved Infamous, and Sly Cooper was my childhood.
Right, and I've talked about it before on past episodes that Sly Cooper is one of the games that I hope that gets rebooted. Like, I just don't understand why that was never one of the main staples of PlayStation that continued on. Like, I just feel like that's like you forgot about a franchise that was super successful, and
Way too successful. It was
so
just over the top,
you mentioned what
and
they
and
can do
that
with a Sly Cooper game with the technology they have now. Like, look what they did with Ratchet and Clank.
makes Assassin's Creed look like shit again, and that's what we need right now. We need something to reboot that sort of stealth assassination, game. Hell, I'd buy the Sly Cooper, pre-order it. I would pre-order it just because I have that much
You,
belief in the series that I like so much.
you know what's gonna
And
happen if Sly Cooper's reboot or whatever is in the works? We're gonna see a remaster of the entire collection.
yeah,
We already know that because
so
that's what's happening with every game every game that gets rebooted. Remaster, here's a new
exactly.
one. But yeah,
And and
Infamous. I
and
didn't play much Infamous, but I know you have. So tell me why you're excited for Infamous.
it's just a game I don't really think we have very much of. It was one of those games where you felt like a superhero.
Right.
Like it was just one of those. I went around and I was able to just do a lot of crazy shit. It was like being a god, and I thought that was really fun. It reminded me of a lot of games that came out on the PlayStation 2, where you pretty much you did what you want.
Right. Yeah, and I think Infamous would do really well in this world because you can have like a much bigger open world setting with Infamous. Because I know, like, I remember watching gameplay of it, and like you said, he's a superpower superhero, whatever, and has all these crazy powers. You like him traveling the map or the world, whatever he's doing, and just I think it'd be perfect setting for Infamous.
Yeah. So, I think we're excited to see this, and I've seen rumors that Sony is saying, not rumors, but Sony has put out release saying that we have a game, a reboot of one of our series, one of our older series. The game is 70% complete as of right now, and no news of it has been leaked. Be ready. When it is done, it is pretty much going to come right out.
And it's probably going to be one of these two IPs. I would have to
It
think.
could also, people are joking that maybe we might see a Jack and Daxter reboot too.
Right? Yeah, I seen that, especially with the
And
hype
that
with the
shit would be
movie,
dope.
because they're already in talks with the movie that's gonna supposed to be coming out too.
So, and the last rumor we've got here, kind of sad news for those who are Star Wars fans. Star Wars Eclipse is now rumored to be delayed until 2027 due to hiring difficulties. So they haven't even begun to be able to hire people and start building this game.
Right, and that hurts because I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Everybody knows that, and Eclipse was one of those games that came out of nowhere, and it looked
Yeah, we saw
phenomenal.
it at the Game Awards, I think it was.
Right, and the trailer just blew my mind away. I was like, this is what we could really get from a really good Star Wars, like open world, like story driven game, and I was just like, ooh, this looks great. And then to get this news, and I'm like, damn. But hey, it's just another impact from COVID, man. Like every company, gaming, non-gaming related, is struggling
Yeah,
with hiring people and paying people because the inflation.
they don't want
Obviously,
to.
obviously, the prices of everything's going up. Like everything is going up, like at least 10% or more. But the employees' wages, as an average, has only gone up 3%. So like, there's the issue. Once pay goes
People
up
want
and it
more
matches
money.
this, yeah, we got it. We have to have
Yeah.
more money. Like
And
we're
these companies are trying to hire for people who don't want to get paid to do what they've already been doing. And it's like, you need to pay your employees more because, you know, we're looking at jobs where instead of working at a hospital, you work at a McDonald's and you make just as much money being a nurse as in a hospital as a burger flipper in McDonald's.
yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I mean, hopefully this
So,
rumor doesn't isn't true, and maybe they can catch up a couple of years, or even hire. Like we've been seeing other studios hire on another studio to help them out, like what Xbox is doing with the Initiative Studio. teaming up with I'm drawing a blank again on the other studio that they
Yeah, we had a Microsoft purchase a studio specifically just to be a flex studio so that they could help with any game development.
right, and I think we could see this in this instance. I mean, heck, I mean, there's tons of studios out there that are willing to help, and I know they have smaller teams that can say, hey, you got a small team that you can spare for a couple years while we build up our main team. Like that will only make sense. Like ask for help. Like I feel like people are always afraid to ask for help because it makes you look weak, but you're not really weak. So it's just like ask for help, man.
I'd rather somebody get help and make a good game than publish Dying Light 2.
Oh man, that's a great way to end this episode, man. You got any last comments or remarks?
Nah, that pretty much sums up my week, Dying Light 2. I'm sorry we didn't talk much about Elden Ring. It's a game that just came out. Not many people really it's just a game that's doing what it's doing, and I hope the community's enjoying it out there. I know I am, but thanks for checking us out on the co-op stream this week, guys. And if you have any questions or concerns, just hit us up. If you want to join the show, let us know. But Victor, where can we find you?
You can find me at Twitter at MrNeverChillin underscore. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. You want a game party up or anything like that. Facebook is Vic Brubacher, and of course, if I'm streaming, it's right here on the Chill Zones Twitch channel. We're getting closer and closer to affiliate, man. So help us out by sharing, liking, subscribing, follow, do all that kind of stuff. Ring the bell, do it all. But I did want to show something real quick that I worked on the other night with my girlfriend. We were doing some painting and stuff, and I did the Xbox logo, man. I had to. It looks pretty cool. I'm not really that artistic, but it was fun to do that, especially with my fiance for sure. But Roger, where can we find you at?
Well, many of you already know, and pretty much everyone here knows, it's twitch.tv/lunatic_oblivion.
And then, of course, we would just want to make sure you guys know, if you don't already know, our co-op streams are every Sunday from 12 to 3, sometimes to 4, if we're trying to get another hour in, of the Dying Light 2 as we die with the game as well. But definitely come check us out. If not, check them out on YouTube, man. We got a lot of great content on our YouTube channel, man. I'm trying to get as much up as I can, whether it's this podcast, the talk show with Vic, different gaming highlights as well. So be sure to check that out for sure. But definitely want to thank everyone again. But until next time, peace.